Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to our number 37 pitch event, as we want to call. And today, again, we are bringing four great founders coming from Europe and USA. I don't want to take any more time from our founders, but before moving to our founders, I really would like to invite one second Philip Noel, co-founder or CEO, Retech and angel investor. Although Philip is only 25, it's already absolutely knowledge in venture capital. And I like to bring him many times, helping founders to better explain what you're doing with very smart questions. Philip, if you want to give a short introduction to yourself, please.
Sure. Hey, hi everyone. It's good to meet you. This is my second time joining as a guest investor, I guess. So I'm excited to be here. I mean the short story about me is I studied at University in Boston. I went to Harvard studying computer science and economics. Then I founded a cybersecurity company, and then following the exit of that company, ended up starting a new company in the supply chain management and sustainability space. And so that's what I'm up to now. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much, Philip. I do believe any investor, any angel must have a background in entrepreneurship. Otherwise, there is no way we can even understand the founders. Then I want to start with the first one. Alan, I know you for a while, for probably for the last 5 years. Thank you so much for coming back again. Alan Loughrey, founder of Futnut, Ireland, Galway. Sponsor pre-seed around 250K in pound. How's it going, Alan?
Good, Max. Thanks for the opportunity.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for coming. If you want to give an introduction to yourself and after, without waiting for me, please pitch.
Yeah, sure. So Alan Loughrey is my name. I'm from Ireland originally, and I'm based here now after about 10 years in the UK. My background is in strategy, operations, and product development. And I'm building Futnut, where football fans can turn their knowledge into stuff. So if we jump into it, so the name of the app is Futnut. It was shortlisted for the EU Social Innovation Challenge Prize in 2022 and is available on the App Store, Amazon App Store and Play Store. So I'm going to jump straight into the problem. So football is a religion. There's no disputing that. It's the biggest sport globally. Fans are devout, but that devotion comes at a price. So whether it's TV subscriptions to watch games, expensive season tickets, the second-hand ticket market is also quite expensive. Sports publication subscriptions. Twitter now has a subscription. Thanks for that, Elon. And then there's the gambling side of things, where people lose a lot of money, basically. 97% of people who gamble lose. So in terms of time and money, there's a lot of weight on the shoulder of the average fan. So what Futnut is striving to do is to make your devotion pay. So enable you to turn your football knowledge into stuff. So while you're watching games, while you're on Twitter, while you're on BBC Sport, whatever your platform or source of information is, you're picking up knowledge and you're learning about your team, you're learning about your league, you're learning about your sport. So Futnut is a predictions platform where you make predictions, you win points, you get ranked, and your rank then unlocks access to brand deals. So in summary, Futnut is an odds-based predictions game which offers a true test of knowledge. It's safe, so you predict with points for fun instead of real money. Your score determines your rank. Your rank gives you access to discounts, and we're trying to build this community of football enthusiasts. To give you an analogy to an existing product which might help, Sweatcoin. So Sweatcoin enables people to turn their steps into products. So in a slightly similar vein, Futnut enables people to turn their knowledge into stuff. So how it works, you make predictions with points and real odds. So in this example, I'm predicting 5 points on Man United and Man City to draw. based on the odds. If I win 24.5 points. If I lose the 5 points I risked. I'm in a league table with other players. I compete to win. We have brands sponsoring the prizes in the form of discounts and vouchers. And we then also have a Futnut rewards feature. So your points determine your rank. So there's 5 ranks within the app, from Academy, Pro, Elite, Generational, up to GOAT. These are, known footballing terms. So your job is to climb that ladder to unlock the top offers. And this phrase was coined by one of our partners, so I've kept it. But in this case, you can see that a Pro player has unlocked a 5% discount with Fanatics and a 15% discount with Gym Plus Coffee. So we're looking to build out this list of partners as we go. In terms of the UKI opportunity, there's about 22 million Premier League fans in the UK and I. 4 million of those bet, 4 million play fantasy games like Fantasy Premier League, and we're targeting the crossover of these two, which is about 1 million players. The interesting thing in the market opportunity is that from the 22 million Premier League fans, there's about 15 million that aren't engaged by existing market propositions. People who don't bet tend to be very anti-gambling, and the existing fantasy propositions have issues. So there's a big latent market opportunity here as well. The 4 million UKI football bettors lose 2.1 billion annually. So the opportunity here is to grow a new opportunity in a safer space with a much larger audience. The business model is B2C. So we have a freemium model. So the predictions games are free to enter, free to play. They're sponsored by partners, which drives the acquisition. And then we expose our players to brand deals. And then we earn a commission on any sales that take place. In the future, with scale, we can look at additional opportunities like marketplace, selling merchandise, tickets, memorabilia, NFTs. The list is endless. In terms of traction, so Gym Plus Coffee began sponsoring the competitions in February. In the subsequent 12 weeks, we've had 600 users with 0 marketing spend. That's a 188% increase over the prior 12 weeks. So the sponsored prizes are helping to drive that acquisition. Average engagement time per user is 1 hour and 10 minutes, 10 sessions, and average session time is 6 minutes, 29 seconds, which is extremely high. We've launched Futnut Rewards with Gym Plus Coffee and Fanatics, and we're looking to add lots more football relevant brands in the future. So in terms of the team, there's myself at the minute as a solo founder, and I have several advisors, including Cormac, who's a Web3 entrepreneur. He's got his own Web3 agency, and he's advising on the technical side. And then a former colleague of mine at Flutter Entertainment, which is the world's largest gambling conglomerate. He's advising on the proposition side of things. So why us, why now? So strong domain experience, strong product experience. So I've built product for Betfair brand, which is 500,000 users under the Flutter Entertainment Group. And we've proven demand for something different in a gigantic space. The continued tightening of regulation on the gambling side is going to be a huge concern for that industry. And that's going to open up opportunities for safer alternatives. So that's our space, free to play, less risk. The existing market protagonists are focused on the convergence of media and gambling. So for example, a gambling company working with the likes of LiveScore, where they have the content, the gambling company offer the gambling side of it, and they're trying to look at the intersection of those and cross-sell to each other, basically. So they're missing this safe and socially inclusive sports entertainment opportunity, which is emerging, and there's several competitors doing stuff in this space. So it's definitely a hot space, and the tightening of gambling regulation is going to drive that. Big opportunity in the US as well. The US sports betting has just opened up. That will drive a market for safer alternatives as well. So that's going to create a market for us over there. and you have the FIFA 2026 World Cup coming up in a couple of years' time as well. So as a football app, these are two major tailwinds for us. So these are details of the pre-seed round. I'm looking to raise 250k, which will be used primarily to take on a marketing lead to drive the marketing side of things. The proposition is at a stage now where it's been iterated upon several times, and we're ready to go wider with awareness. So taking on a marketing lead and driving that marketing spend to get awareness, get users in the door, opening them up to Futnut rewards, and get that loop functioning where we're driving sales. And that's it. That's Futnut.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you so much. Philip, if you want to follow up, please.
Cheers. Thanks, Alan. My first question is, how did the first 600 people find you?
So basically, we've iterated the proposition several times. We had a cash prize on offer for a while before we got the sponsors in. Now, that wasn't sustainable, so I was putting up those cash prizes myself because we were small and it wasn't attractive to sponsors at that stage. But the prizes that I was putting up, it got a small number of users in the door. And then we took prizes out. So I ran out of money, no more money left. So we had the competitions running with no cash prizes, and we still had people playing because fundamentally they were trying to prove their knowledge. They were in leagues with other players, and even though the prizes weren't there, they were still interested in competing and proving their knowledge. So then through user feedback, we figured we had to bring something back in. So we started looking at sponsorship. So I started speaking with relevant brands like Gin Plus Coffee, Fanatics, and they agreed to sponsor the competitions. And since they've come in, we've seen that growth where the existing couple of hundred users have basically, through word of mouth, pulled in their friends. We've started doing more on social media, getting better social media engagement by advertising the fact that we now have prizes. So that loop is going, and the prizes are really small. Like the monthly prize is £200 vouchers. If that was 1,000, if that was 5,000, 10,000, then you would get some serious attention from the footballing world.
Sure. Okay. So word of mouth is how people heard of the the first 600 people, like somewhat close to you, right?
No, they're not close to me. The users, okay. We've 600 users at the minute, and they're global. So our biggest audience is in the UK, Bulgaria, the US. We've got these like breakout regions in Africa, Ghana, places like that, where it's everywhere. Yeah.
So how are you planning? Like, can you tell me more about how you're planning on scaling that to 6,000 and 60,000 users?
Yeah, so I'm currently in discussions with a large Twitter account. So basically, football fans live in Twitter. That's their home. And I'm speaking with a large Twitter account that has 300,000 followers. And we're looking at doing a partnership. So it's not going to be a paid partnership where, he's tweeting and getting paid. He's actually interested in a longer term deal where he will basically own, for the most part, acquisition and awareness, driving that through his account, and then also gathering feedback from his followers on how we can improve the proposition. So it's quite a good loop. So that's the primary one. So we're looking at a small monetary amount up to a certain milestone, and then equity beyond that. So I've set out an equity deal for him, whereby if he hits certain user acquisition milestones, then he unlocks that equity. But then also at a certain point, I think if we get investment, this person could come into the business on a full-time basis.
Got it. Okay. And so you mentioned the sports betting market, right? Are you worried at all that the existing players in the paid advertising, the paid gambling sector would be interested in this unpaid sector as well?
Yeah, so there's two ways to look at it. So one is right now I'm not worried because the US gambling opportunity has just opened up. I think it's a 150 billion opportunity by 2027. That's all they're interested in. So they're really not distracted by anything else right now. Like it's basically, it's like the gold rush. It's the modern day gold rush.
Sure.
Everyone's in there trying to see, can they get a piece of that pie? So they're distracted by that. That market will develop the same problems that the UK and several other markets have developed around gambling addiction and problems like that, which will drive the adoption of safer alternatives. But then from a conglomerate perspective, once the gambling regulation, so there's a new white paper has come out in the UK where they're putting deposit limits on players. They're ruling out advertising after a certain hour. You're not allowed to advertise on teams' jerseys. There's loss limits in place now, where if players lose more than like £500 in a month, then they need to stop. They're looking at a single customer view, which means, imagine there's a loss limit of £500. Well, right now that's 500 with this gambling company, 500 with this guy, 500 with that guy, which adds up to huge amounts. But there's a project being looked at called single customer view, which means the industry has to take a single customer view of everyone. So the 500 limit will apply across the board. So that's going to have huge implications for that industry. And I think at a certain point, they will look to mitigate the risk of regulation on their portfolios by potentially snapping up safer alternatives.
But excuse me, maybe I'm confused. But so you're saying there's all these regulations which will complicate the work of people who currently do applications for paid bets. Isn't that going to drive competition against you by having those people look for alternative revenue streams? Maybe I misunderstood you.
No, so right now, I think what I'm saying is that gambling regulation is going to put a lot of pressure on the gambling companies and their revenues, right? So if you put deposit limits on players, it means they're going to be losing less money. So it's going to put a lot of pressure on the industry. And I think at a certain point, if their revenues come under pressure, they're going to start looking at the safer alternatives in the market and maybe snapping those up as a way of balancing their portfolios and mitigating that risk. So if we can establish a brand like Futnut, then that's a potential exit strategy for the business. That was the point I was trying to make, unless I misunderstood you.
Sure. I think this also could play against you in that those people would just rebuild your app and sell it to their existing user base. So I'd be careful to that.
Yeah. So on that point, they don't have. I think later on potentially, but right now they don't have the credibility for this because we're offering free to play safe games, and they're building unsafe gambling, and they've taken advantage of that for years. So I think they will lack. I think their existing brands names will lack that credibility. So if they get into this space, it can't be under the old names because they won't have that credibility.
Sure. Okay.
Philip,
okay, that makes sense.
Thank you so much, guys. We had to go because of a limited time and still 3 founders to go. Thank you so much, Alan. Philip, please stay with us, Alan. Don't go. We are back soon. We are moving to our second founder, Vladimir Kaverin. Vladimir, you're doing such a nice, this is the first startup that I'm going to encounter doing mushrooms. I'm very much enjoyed reading your deck. Vladimir Kaverin, CEO co-founder of Spawnix GmbH, Austria, Agritech, pre-seed 300K in euro. How's it going, Vladimir?
Yeah, hi Max, thank you. Going good. Basically, it is my 8th or 9th business, but it is my first startup. I'm coming here from a conventional business, and basically all other my businesses were in services categories, such as automotive services and so on and so on. And this is the first production business that I started, and it happened that we transform it into a startup, and it is really cool. So yeah, I will start now my pitch. So yes, I am CEO and founder of Spawnix, and we develop and sell mushroom city farms as a business. And this is a package of shiitake. Here it is actually in my camera, the same one. I searched through at least 3 stores to buy it. And in a minute, I will explain you why this happens. But actually, do you know how much work and effort is put here? Probably not. I also didn't know that when I was starting this business. Me and my wife started our startup as a conventional, small-scale mushroom farm with no employees at all, and grew it to an industrial-scale facility producing 10 tons of mushrooms per month, with consistent deliveries and profits. And we started to sell farms themselves afterwards. And now I know how difficult this business is. So it is written on the package that it is valid until tomorrow only. And normally the shelf life period of mushrooms is 10 days, and most of it is spent on the logistics. And this is the problem. This means that on the farm we should harvest, package, and deliver within 1 day. Due to logistics, climate failure, and human factors, we can lose up to 50% of our yield, and substrate contamination can force us to close the farm for 3 months, sterilize it, and restart all over again. And on the other hand, retailers want deliveries according to their forecasts and orders. They do not care. And if you deliver less, you get penalties. So all the farms in the world now work on full capacity each day, and just to try to sell every mushroom that they harvested each day and every day. And this is why 40% of mushrooms in the world is sold below net cost from the farms. And this happens on the huge growing mushroom consumption market, and there is not enough producers on this market. That's why. And there is a really small number of specialists that are able to build and run these farms with really nice profits. And that's why we started Spawnix. We developed a sustainable, modular, and scalable system that consists of our own substrate preparation machine, ventilation system for growing rooms, farm automation software, and planning software. With it, we can predict and match the yield to the sales forecast with 90% accuracy and reduce all technical risks of the farm to zero. As a buyer of our farms, you need only management skills and flow of orders, no special knowledge required. This is basically the mushroom farming as a service, and this way we can grow the number of mushroom producers exponentially. Because of such fast turnover period of mushrooms on the farms, flow of orders is required to start the business. That's why we partner with retailers such as Spar and Rewe Group to cover their demand and locally grown mushrooms in each region. Then we find a local farmer to buy our facility, sell the hardware, set it up for him, and then he starts delivering mushrooms to retailers. This is a win-win situation for everybody. Retailers get ultra fresh mushrooms, farmers get high marginal business, and we get our sales. We charge one-time fee for the hardware of the farm and its installation. Hardware is produced in series on contract factories, and installation is carried out by our partners. Then, on monthly basis, we supply the farm with substrate and mycelium, which we produce by ourselves. This way, we generate recurring revenue for our company. And of course, in the future, we will try to switch to a leasing model for the hardware to reduce entry barriers to the market. This is all possible with our brilliant team in business, microbiology, and engineering. And with all these guys, we work on the project full-time since 2019. We are going to start our first farm in Graz this year and start sales of the farms in Loughrey region in Europe the next year. To start our own farm, we are looking for 300,000 euro of investment. The farm will start generating projected revenue within 10 months after initial financing. We're happy to invite you to our journey and transform mushroom farming industry to a simple, predictable, and sustainable business. Thank you.
Thank you, Vladimir. Philip, if you want to follow up.
Thank you. This is awesome. This is very cool. A very, very unique business for sure. No one I can say I have much experience with, so maybe my questions would be a little rudimentary. But I'm curious. So you mentioned maybe I phase out for a second. You mentioned you're starting your own farm, but you're also looking to license your technology to other people, right?
So basically what we found on our farm, there are many, as I said in the pitch, there are many technical problems on the farms themselves. But then we spend like 9 of 10 days of the shelf life period on the logistics. And this is why, like, first of all, the two consequences that we have in the industry. Basically, 40% of all mushrooms are sold below net cost just to be on time to sell them. Just from the farms. It doesn't like retail doesn't care, they get their profits. And the next one, we have a huge right of rates among the industry. For example, on the farm, it is normal to have like around 25% of right of rate because of quality and logistics before the retail warehouse. And then because we deliver to retailers, they have another 25% on their side until the end consumer, because they have also the logistics, the distribution, and the not proper refrigerated shelves in the stores and so on. And so basically to fix that, we need to place small farms near as close to the consumer as possible and do the distributed production. The current business model for the whole mushroom industry is to build giant factories. For example, here near Austria, they're in Poland and Hungary producing thousands of tons of champignons. But for all other mushrooms, this is not applicable because we need local production because they are just more fragile. And this is why we are turning to selling the technology. This way we can, first of all, scale up our business faster as a startup and not as a production company. And secondly, we can cover many cities in short distance.
Yep, got it. Okay. So do you expect most of your money to come from licensing your technology or from running your own farm?
We need to have only one farm. For like in one region, for example, one in Europe and one in US, and this is only for showcase purposes. Just that when I'm selling the farm, people want to see that and want to see that unit economics on the local market of this farm is really true and is working actually, and that it is profitable. This is the only purpose for running a farm, and obviously R&D purposes. And most our money will come from mycelium sales. Basically, mycelium, it is mushroom seeds, and farms cannot run without them, and we just supply on monthly basis all our farms with that.
So you will sell the seeds, and then that's how you will distribute.
This
how
is
much
the.
Do you How much do you expect to make per farm?
So this is the good question because in like when we're comparing, for example, city farming and mushroom farming, everything is made indoor, but the technology is pretty different. So, for example, in city farming, from 30 to 50% of their costs may be electricity just for lights, and in our case, we have like 3% for electricity, but 40% for mycelium and substrate. And that's what we're selling. And that's why for example, if we sell 200 farms all around the world, of average size of 800 square meters, we will have on hardware sales revenue stream around like 35 million. And it will take like around 5 years to build all these farms. But if we just sell mycelium and substrate to these farms, to the same amount of farms, we get the same amount of money, 35 to 37 million per year. And this is recurring
per
revenue.
Farm? Not per farm.
It is our revenue per 200 farms, for example. So per one farm, it is
175,000.
Yeah, 150 per year.
Okay. And Do you have people that are signed up to become customers of yours and
For
for their own
now,
farms?
yeah. For now, obviously, we are more doing fundraising than searching for orders for the farms. But we have many pre-orders from Austria, Switzerland, Germany, from even Canada, and from United Arab Emirates.
How did you find those?
We didn't actually we were not searching for them. I was just pitching on the same events, and we gathered some pre-orders in course of last like 3-4 months, and that's all. We didn't do
How do
any
you plan
marketing, anything.
How do you plan on reaching those customers in the future?
So basically, as I described in the pitch, our first strategy, as soon as we happen to be in Austria, we will be working in Loughrey region, so Germany, Austria, Switzerland, in the next 1 or 2 years. And basically what we're doing is partnering with local retailers, so they provide the demand for mushrooms, and then we localize the each like what demand they have in the specific region, and go to this region and actually physically sell to the farmers. And this is really
so people with
sustainable
existing
model.
farms who will tag this on to their own farm.
Existing farmers, not farms.
Got it.
So basically, we had pilots with existing mushroom farmers converting a low-tech farm to a automated one, and this works pretty well. But they are not so many mushroom farmers around in the world, basically, and that's why it is a possible revenue stream for us. But our main strategy will be to convert local farmers, a conventional farmer, to also mushroom farmers, because for them it is like a business with marginality of 30% per month. They do not get it with the conventional farming.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Vladimir. We all love mushrooms. So we are very happy today. Thank you so much. Please stay. Don't go. We are all back soon. We are moving to our third founder, Troy Brazell. Troy, we know each other for a while. So thank you so much for coming to our pitch day today. Troy is CEO of Optima Sports Group, Utah, USA. Sport seed around 1 million in USD. How's it going, Troy?
Doing great, Max. How are you doing?
Oh, good. Not too bad. It's the English version. All good. Thank you so much for coming, Troy. Please, if you want to start to give an introduction to yourself, and after we go straight to pitch.
Troy Brazell. I'm the CEO of Optima Sports Group. I've been in business for 30 years, working with Sending Corporation and other bigger corporations. I've helped build and sell a few companies, and I've been focused on building Optima Sports Group and sports analytics models and predictive performance models for the past decade. So that's who we are. Optima Sports Group, as I mentioned, we're the only analytics company that has proven to directly impact winning percentage in professional sports. We have worked with 3 Super Bowl champions, an NBA champion, and an MLS Cup winner. We deliver actionable data intelligence to teams on who they draft, who they avoid, injury propensity, and fit with team and system. That way the teams don't have as much data that they need to wade through. Our models have proven to be significantly more effective for the professional teams because we don't allow the subjective information. We are objective-based, looking at all the data points that are directly indicative of actual performance on the field, the court, the pitch, and that makes that usable for the coaches and the general management of the teams. And we customize these models to the individual teams, so the customer gets exactly what they want and they get their KPI. We are the trusted partner. We've worked with NFL teams, as I've mentioned, NBA teams, MLS. This year, we're going into European soccer with a few of the championship and EPL teams. We are the only analytics company that looks at all 5 areas: physical, technical, tactical, mental, and emotional. There are several other analytics companies that focus on technical, tactical, several on physical. There's quite a few on mental or emotional, but Optima has brought all those together. We also have what is called general systems performance theory and the human performance theory threshold model. These identify the resources of an individual athlete and how that impacts overall performance. This is actually critical because all teams, what is still being taught at universities is regression or correlation models, which always compensate for the weaknesses of the athlete and are inaccurate. Optima also has something very unique that comes from market research, and this is called high res, which is rational, emotional, social. So uncovering the drivers of decision, we can clearly identify how the individual athlete will make his choices on and off the court, the field, the pitch, whatever that is. And we can identify the core values and what drives that individual player. So he may be a great athlete, but he may not be the right person for that team or that system, or might have problems sorting his life off the court, the pitch, the field, whatever it is. As I mentioned, we build cutting edge multi-nominal data fusion models. This is getting a little more scientific than probably most of you would like, but we have a very unique and scientific based algorithm which is very accurate in predicting human performance. This methodology has been used to predict performance with laparoscopic surgeons, with Navy pilots, Air Force pilots, Special Forces, Navy SEALs. We're now doing a project with pilots and the FAA here in the US. So our proprietary models on performance building are extremely accurate and used across multiple disciplines. As I mentioned earlier on, we specialize in player performance evaluation. Our current models sit 328% more accurate than the actual NFL draft. We also find team synergy and culture, so how an individual team will fit a team and culture, how that player can come in and add value or not. Injury propensity, the likelihood of injury, and player acclimation. This is important for foreign players coming into a team. How well and how quickly can they acclimate to the team, the culture, etc. Optima is very excited about this new venture because we are now taking this methodology that we have used in professional sports into high school sports here in the US, college sports, esports, and competitive youth soccer. High school sports, one of the reasons for the ask is we have contracts to test up to 200,000 kids this year. 85,000 are contracted. That's 10 million in annual recurring revenue just in high school football, and we have access now to over 300,000. College sports, obviously, the identifying the right kids to come into a team so you don't lose a scholarship and kids that can add value. College sports is critical in identifying these athletes. Esports, obviously, everybody's familiar with how quickly the video game market has grown and identifying players earlier on. Optima has already built performance models around these esports players. And competitive youth soccer is coming from what we've done with the academies on the European side. We're now bringing this into the US, into the club levels here and the academies here. So that's Optima Sports Group. That's who we are, and that's why we're looking for the seed capital, is for this new growth in these areas.
Thank you so much, Troy. Before Philip, if anyone from the audience wants to make any comment, question, please write it down and we bring to all our funders. Philip, please.
Thank you, Troy. This is very impressive. And I love to see Bayesian statistics. Brings me back to college. Sorry, so you mentioned you make $10 million a year in recurring revenue from the high school category, right?
So
Did I hear that correctly?
Oh, so that's brand new this year. So we are going to start testing in June, this
Got it.
next month.
Got it. Got it. But is like that contract is signed? Is that what you're
Oh,
saying?
yeah,
Like you will.
it's signed. Yeah, we have. So I'll give more detail. The reason we're getting this capital is we have 3 key contracts with the data companies in high school sports. One of those gives us 85,000 kids paying us $129 each for the test. There's 10 million, and so far the pre-orders or the people lining up are saying they need to test in the spring, June, July, and they need to test at the end of the season to see how they've improved. So, yes. So to your point, yes, we have contracts on those.
Got it. So what do you need the capital for if you already have so much revenue lined up?
Because right now I need to bring some people in. We're building out some software. I'm bringing in some marketing. So it's all going to growth. Got it.
And I'm curious to understand a bit more like the revenue breakdown. So you said is it a subscription service where the kids will pay on a yearly basis, or they pay per test?
So they will pay per test.
Got it.
And so to your first question, I don't want to let that go. We have been working with the professional teams, NFL, NBA, MLB. This year, we have 5 European soccer teams lined up that we'll be working with. So we'll generate about $1.2 million just with the professional teams. So that's what we call the legacy business, because that's what we've done for the past decade. We're now taking this methodology into the high school sports, esports, competitive youth soccer. So that's where this money comes in, so we can scale that side quickly, because now we can really grow and scale. And then we have on the high school football players, because they'll test once to twice a year, it's per test. But the esports players are a subscription model where we have the 500,000 kids that they'll pay us $49 up front and then $9.95 each month.
Got it.
So we have both.
Got it. And why not just try to acquire more professional teams instead of going for youths? Aren't those so much more, have so much more money to spend for a service like this?
Yes and no. The sales cycle working with a professional sports team takes about a year.
Sure, of course.
And so when you have the sales cycle, and 2, you're limited. And an example is you have 32 NFL teams. We're not going to work with all 32 teams. We want to work with 2 to 3 teams per year. And some teams have analytics. Well, a lot of teams are hiring their own analytics groups, or they're using software, or they're using Amazon Sports Services. So none of that is as accurate as what we're doing, and we've proven that out. But it's also a harder sell, whereas high school kids, we have annual recurring kids, because you have freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors. So they're going to be testing every year, a couple times a year. There we can get many more kids. And one of our partners has 870,000 kids. So if we start marketing to them, even if we get another 100,000 kids, that's over 10 million in revenue. There's 20 million right there. So I'd rather focus there, because that's much more scalable than dealing with the professional teams. I mean, the professional teams gives you that credibility, right? But they're difficult to work with, and they never pay on time. So and it's a long sales cycle.
Sure. That makes sense. Interesting. And a last question. You mentioned you also have the esport division, right?
Yeah.
That you're launching with the subscription model. What type of esport will it be, and how is this going to work? I assume the test must be different for esport.
Yes. So we have with high school football, we collect all the physical, the technical, tactical, mental, and emotional. With esports players, we can get their physical data, but we've developed an online test so we can test eye-hand coordination, finger dexterity, mental processing speed, visual recall, auditory recall. We have a list of data points that we can collect simultaneously and then build performance reports around the individuals to see how they do as individuals and then how they do against people their same age and in their same sport, be it like Madden or a first-person shooter, Call of Duty, Rocket League, etc.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Troy. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Please stay. We are back very soon. We
I
are
will.
moving to
Thank
our
you, Max.
last part. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Not the least, co-founder and actually co-founder, which is today, is only Lionel. Lionel is the co-founder of SyncLodge, England, United Kingdom, entertainment industry, seed around 420k in pounds. How's it going, Lionel?
Hi, it's going great. Great. Thanks for having me, Max.
Thanks to you. Thanks for coming back again. It's been a while. But
It's been a while. Our last round we were here.
Yes.
Yes.
It's always nice to see you again. Please, if you want to give something about yourself, a short intro, and after you can go straight to business.
Okay. So, like you said, my name is Lionel Lodge. I am co-founder and CEO of SyncLodge. I have decades in the entertainment and IP licensing, IP ownership industry as a creative as well as a business manager. I've run quite a few businesses, and 2 of them I sold off to our biggest competitors for a very nice price. And SyncLodge is it's a project management and workflow management system for the intellectual property licensing industry. Now, people say, so what is that? So it is our system is for both the buyers and the sellers, and licensing it's a global market. It's worth about 375 billion. And what we mean by this, it is a combination of, if you're music in a film, intellectual property, new innovations, or even just a logo on a t-shirt. This is the IP licensing market, and it is growing at a very healthy rate, but it's a very large market. It's a very complex market. So we have looked at what is our best entry point, what is our best sector of the market to enter, and the most logical one is in the music sync licensing market, which is quite a bit smaller of a market. It's worth 2 billion annually and growing at it's growing at what's one of the fastest growing sectors of the IP licensing market. But it is also it's managed by very small groups of guilds and professional organizations that represent people in the IP licensing market. What is sync licensing? Let me just give you a quick overview. It's basically a buyers and a sellers. You have visual production companies and you have copyright owners. Anytime you're watching Netflix or Amazon and there's a film or a TV show and there's music in it, there's been a license that has been paid for that contractually for the usage, and that is what is music sync licensing. And it's mainly what we talk about for the visual production is film, TV, video games, and advertising. Those are the 4. And there are many, many current problems right now with the music sync licensing. I've actually worked in it as a music sync licensing agent, and I know many people. I'm connected globally with many people in the industry, and it really is stuck in a very old way of working. And one of the problems that, like it says on the screen, about 80% of sync licensing is admin. So you have these people that are sourcing the music, and then there's a lot of paperwork involved to actually get the license. And they're using very disjointed solo systems like Excel files and ping-ponging emails back and forth and phone calls. And also the data, the information, this is not reliable. This is very hard to find what is actually reliable data. So the industry really is calling for a digital transformation. And what we have built at SyncLodge is that transformation. And our system automates up to 60% of the admin time. And the full suite of tools that we have built is not by our thought of what this industry needs. We have actually sat down with hundreds of industry stakeholders over the last few years, everything from the major record companies, the major film companies, TV production companies, and independents, and they told us what they needed built, and we built that. So the industry is booming. As most people know, the visual production industry is just going crazy, not only on the major streaming platforms, but also in localized streaming platforms in different countries that are producing local culture content. But because of this, there is a huge bottleneck for the music supervisors, the people who are doing the licensing. There's of workload. I know some that are working anywhere between 15 and 25 projects at a time, and they simply can't keep up. Now, we are seen as a monumental step forward for the industry. We have many quotes from many people giving feedback. This is one of my favorite by John at the Sync Center. This is in Nashville in the States, and basically saying that we will become the standard used by the industry, and that is our goal. For the market strategy, we basically focus on industries or industry conferences. We also have local representatives in different countries and industry influences, but we are consistently and continuously being invited to major industry on the visual production as well as on the audio production side of the industry, just to showcase what we have built, what we are doing. I'm going next week to England for a conference, then I go to France, Cannes Festival for a conference, then Bulgaria, then back to Cannes, then I'm in the States. And this is basically, we get so many invitations that sometimes we have to turn them down until the following year. Our global market reach, our main market focus is really the US, Canada, and the UK, and also Eastern Europe. But we also have representatives and working highly in what we call the growth sectors, and countries like China, Australia, Sub-Saharan Africa, South America, Mexico. And we just yesterday we were called by a big production company in South Korea, wanted to use our system, and we're going to give their team an overview introduction. Yeah, so the competitive landscape is quite small. Most of our competitors are actually focused on sectors of the sync licensing industry, and they are subscription based. And because they only answer a sector of it, actually complicates the workflow. And we are the only one that actually has the full suite of tools, and we are the most cost effective for our members. Our revenue model is simply, we do not charge a membership fee. We do not charge a sign-up fee. So we are all inclusive for everybody on the buyers and the sellers side. We do not have any barriers for entry. We ask for 2% of the license fee once the license is concluded. But we also have further streams to be introduced based on user growth with third-party services, referral services, advertising, premium accounts. But the main element is in the data tech, the data statistics, payment services for facilitating the transfer of the license fee, and also then we go into the non-music IP licensing once we get the whole system going with the music sync licensing side. Our revenue projection is, we base this on quite a small sector of the industry coming in by year 5, but it still will bring us up to year 5 to over 15 million a year. And these projections do not include the non-music IP licensing and fintech. It doesn't include those two elements. Our management team is highly experienced. Like I said, I have decades in the industry. Our chief legal officer also has decades as a professional legal counsel in the visual production as well as the music production in the UK and the US. Christina, our CMO, has over 10 years in Fortune 500 companies as a marketing manager. And also Valentin is our CTO. He has over 25 years in managing large teams and building complicated high-tech systems, including banking systems and train navigation systems in Europe. We also have a very large team of international advisors. This is just a few of them on the screen. And like I said earlier, we have talked to hundreds of people in the industry to get their advice on what we should do, what we should build. And we also have people from IBM, from finance, from many different sectors, also people in China, in South America, in Australia, in Japan, that are representing us and advising us on those markets and the cultural base of those markets. We are actually looking for £420,000, and that will be basically used for the development 30% and expanding our acquisition and service teams, and also expanding our marketing activities. So it's 70% of the money would actually be going to marketing and user acquisition. And that is the end of my talk through, my pitch. We are the future of the industry. We are looking at becoming the standard globally. And once, like I said, once we actually are built up to the point with sync licensing, we will start expanding into other sectors, which also include visual licensing for visual productions. What I mean by that is if you're watching a film and there's something on a TV, that's being licensed. So yeah, hopefully please get in touch and we can talk and I can give you details.
Thank you so much.
I tried to get
Lionel.
through that quite quickly because I think we're running close to the end of time. Hopefully it wasn't too quick.
We are running out, but still have some time for Q&A and after for closing. Phil.
Great.
Yeah, thank you. So two questions. I'm mostly interested in the revenue part you mentioned. So you made revenue projections, but do you have revenues today?
We have quite a few users. We have quite a few large companies using it. We haven't actually turned on the 2% revenue yet. And this is for market saturation, because with some of the larger companies on the copyright holder side, the one thing is like we have a head office in New York, but then the head office in Japan is a totally another deal that we have to do. And for them to come in and to start using the system and to commit 2% of their license fee, this is a long process going through management. So the idea is to let them come in, use the system, see the benefits of it, and then we turn on the 2%.
So when will you be turning it on?
We will be turning it on this year. We will be.
Okay. So my next question then to you is, so you showed this chart where you basically said you have the cheapest tool and also the best tool, right?
Yes.
Because you were in the top corner here. So if you have the best tool, it should be the most expensive. It should not be the cheaper one.
This is okay. Okay. So the thing is, we were told that we could actually probably do a subscription version of this to companies and maybe charge them 5,000 to 10,000 British pounds per month because of the sophistication of our system. And my answer to that is, and then what? And then we have maybe 25, 50 companies that we are subscribing it to. And then what happens? There is a barrier for growth at that point. If we do not have a membership fee, then we can actually go after the tens of millions of users globally. And this is our projection. It's the same thing. If Facebook was to charge me to use Facebook, I wouldn't use Facebook, right? They found a way of actually monetizing it without usage charge.
I apologize, but I need to respectfully disagree. Large companies are able to tier their pricing in such a way that you can catch multiple sides of the market. And Facebook is a very different type of enterprise selling to consumers rather than selling to consumers rather than doing like business marketing. Basically what I'm saying is I think I don't know. It sounds like you have something incredible, and I'm just saying you should make as much money as you can from it, right? Rather than like
this is
being
from
better
our
because you're cheaper.
We can show the numbers. It's not because we're cheaper, it's because we have no barrier for entry. And so one of the things is if I'm a small visual production company starting out, we are grabbing those people. We're teaching at universities and college levels for visual production and audio production.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea is the new generation, for them to come in, they would not be able to afford a few $1,000s a month or a few £1,000s a month to use our system, right? So the idea is that for making it so there's no barrier for entry, we will become the standard that the whole industry globally uses.
But have it free for universities. So many software have free tiers for students and universities, and then have large tiers for wealthy enterprises. If a company is so big as to have an office in Japan and an office in the US, you should make as much money as you can from them if your tool is so much better than the other alternatives. No.
Right. Okay. So we can debate this back and forth, but our view on it is that if you have so you have Universal Pictures using it. Okay. Now, if for everybody that they're going to be buying the product from, buying the license from, has to pay for actually using it, then okay, how do we actually bring in the tens of millions of IP owners globally and charge them? There are many models in the sync licensing industry that have subscription bases. There is one of our biggest competitors is they do charge for a system. It's not, obviously I'm going to say this is not nearly as good as ours, but they do charge for it. They have two users after 5 years. Okay. 2 corporate users using their system. They are charging a fair bit of money for it. We already have, I think it's 1,200 users using our system.
Yeah, but like you told me they don't pay you yet, right? All that I'm saying is I don't know enough about your industry. Obviously, you're the expert, right? Like all that I'm saying is advocating for a lot of people that pay you little versus few people that pay you much. Like at the end of the day, your goal is to make money, right? And also obviously spread the software and give access to people a better tool.
Well, it's a little like
I
a
don't
petrol
think
station, right? But around the corner where I live, there's 2 petrol stations, and one is cheaper than the other one. Obviously, the other one is thinking your thing. We're gonna when we sell the petrol, we're gonna make as much as we can. That one does barely any business. The one that's cheaper is always a lineup, right? I'd much rather have quantity of users and really be the standard in the industry than have a pocket of the industry that's using our system, and then somebody else comes along and starts competing directly with us. The way we are building it, once somebody starts using our system, if somebody starts trying to compete with us, there's no reason for somebody to actually move over to a similar system or competitive system. They're already using ours, the pain of moving over, and they're not going to save any money, right? So as far as our revenues go, and like our revenue stream, our predictions on our revenue, those are very low predictions, right? We actually built it so that it's not trying to over wow anybody and say we're going to be in the billions, but it is for us. I get your point. Why not just
all that I
license it out?
appreciate you clarifying. I would just encourage you to look into this further because I think you might be leaving opportunities on the table, is all I'm saying. I think usually when software is better for the sake of being cheaper, usually there's like fundamental things that can be better for the business. And I think if you look into this deeper, you'll see the petrol station analogy actually doesn't apply perfectly.
Okay, well, here's my counter on that. Tell that to between
this
Google
is the last
and
thing
Zoom.
I'm saying. I'm just trying to help.
One example is Google and Zoom, right? Google is free meeting, right? Zoom is expensive. Zoom is falling. Google is obviously Google, right? And you don't pay anything for using their services. This is there's Calendly, there's Google Calendar, right? These sort of
we
things
are running out. I need to interrupt you guys.
Thanks, Lionel. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you, Phil.
We are running out of time, but stay there, Lion. Don't go. Stay there. We are bringing everyone back again, and I want to start from you, Lion. So as we always close, why in 30 seconds maximum investors should invest in yourself, your team, and of course your venture?
Is that me?
Of course.
Yes. Well, because we are a global system for a global industry, and we are empowering the creatives of the future, and our revenue streams and our revenue possibilities are, in a way, I wouldn't want to say endless, but they're monumental. Okay.
Thank you so much, Lion. Alan, why?
Well, we're building a product in an emerging space with an enormous global opportunity. I think that's probably the main reason. We've displayed a need for the product through traction and engagement, albeit with a small audience, but having spent no marketing. And there's a lot of tailwinds in our favor in terms of regulation, opening up of the US market. We're seeing the right signs. So we're looking for someone who looks at the concept, thinks it's interesting, and is interesting to develop that in partnership with us. It may not be for everybody, but that's it.
Thank you, Alan. Troy, you're muted. Unmute.
Sorry about that.
Go.
We have a proven track record. We have a clean cap table. We've self-funded for the past 9 years. We have commitments on our Series A from bigger groups. So and we have contracts on the new vertical. So we just literally need somebody to help close that gap and help us launch faster.
Thank you so much, Troy. So I want to close with mushrooms today. So Vladimir.
So thank you, Max. Basically, this is in a lifetime opportunity because we're a second startup in mushroom growing industry, and this is an emerging sector which will grow in the next 5 years. There will be many companies emerging, and we already have the technology and all the knowledge to become like a monopolist in mushroom growing technology in US and Europe within the next 5 years. And if we fail, you still will have some tasty mushrooms to eat.
Vladimir, Alan, Troy, Lionel, and Philip, thank you so much for being with us today. I really thank you for your time, and thank you everyone watching our pitch event, and I see you next week, 2 p.m.
Thank you.
on Tuesday. Take care.
Thanks.